Hey everyone, my name is Keita. Welcome back to Resistance Book Club, and this here will be Legendborn and Bloodmarked, and then I'll be doing the reviews for both, as well as discussion questions for Legendborn, and just my overall thoughts. I'm sure there's going to be some spoilers in between, so yeah, let's get to it. All right, so yeah. I had to put my hair in a scarf. I actually had to buy these scarves. Cause I ain't got no like different colors and all that other stuff, which is weird. Let me push that down. Yeah. So I'll be getting my hair. I'm gonna do my hair, not getting my hair done. I'm doing my hair. I always do my hair. I do have a stylist that does it, but I haven't been to her in years, to be honest. So, but it's okay because as long as I can do it, why not, right? But lately, for the past couple of years since my daughter's been born, I've been doing crochet, and those are a little bit easier for my head. And I do the individual crochets because doing the cornrow ones, I get dandruff caked up in there in literally a week, and I don't like that. But when you do individual crochets, you can literally have it for up to 3 months, and that's what I do, for every crochet. So all the hair that y'all seen in all of the other videos has all been crochet, and I'm the one that's doing it. And I just play around with it just to see which ones I like and don't like, things like that. So yeah, so I will, in probably like next week, you'll see a different hairstyle, in my head for next week without probably with the scarves, but I'm not too sure yet. But yeah. But I actually have the hair. I have the hair. But I won't tell you. You'll see. Other than that, I guess it's more like an update, right? So went ahead and changed my stickers. And so before I had like a whole bunch of bookish stuff, and I wanted it more Star Wars, and kept some of the same stickers on, but I really wanted it Star Wars and the Empire, and then mixed in, kept the Rebels, right here. Hold on, this one, and I can't. Yoda has to stay on there, okay? But everything else is fairly new. Put Rey, Kylo Ren, and Asajj Ventress. Sorry, the Stormtrooper. Oh, Grievous, the Trandoshan. Who else is on here? Oh, Darth Maul. So, yep. And Vader. And then, yep. So I really wanted it to be like more Empire ish. So I love it. I have literally like four packs of stickers. So like two of them is Star Wars and the other two is like bookish and um black girl magic type of thing, and they're like 100 in each pack, but I put it all in like one envelope bag, so that way I could just go in there and just take them if I need to. But yep, decided to do that, and I think that is it. So before this video, which I know is probably going to be long anyway, but let's get to it. I actually have both Legendborn and Bloodmarked, both by Tracy Dion. Yes, so I read these last year. So unfortunately, I don't have my video. So I decided, let me do something different to where I really wanted to revisit, but I didn't want to read it because I wanted to see if it still lives rent free in my head. And I figured, let me do the discussion questions without having to read it the second time and see if I still remember a lot of these things. So that will be something. But yeah, I did tat it from quotes and stuff in here, as well as the second one. I think it was just a few. Just in the beginning, I think for this one was just more of like for me to try to understand the order of it, of what they were trying to do. This here, I think it was just more info, because clearly there was info dump and quotes in here. So I did that last year. I did not listen to these because at the time I was able to sit down and actually read these books. So now that I can't and I have to do by audio, so it's different. But either way, it's still good. I was still able to enjoy both of them. And so let's get into Legendborn. So Legendborn, again, by Tracy Dion. Um, what I will do is let you know of the audiobook if you guys want to know. So after her mother dies in an accident, 16-year-old Bree Matthews wants nothing to do with her family, memories, or childhood home. A residential program for bright high schoolers at UNC-Chapel Hill seems like the perfect escape until Bree witnesses a magical attack for her very first night on campus. A flying demon feeding on human energies, a secret society of so-called Legendborn students that hunt the creatures down, and a mysterious teenage mage who calls himself a Merlin and who attempts and fails to wipe Bree's memory of everything she saw. The mage's failure unlocks Bree's own unique magic and a buried memory with a hidden connection. The night her mother died, another Merlin was at the hospital. Now that Bree knows there's more to her mother's death than what's on the police report, she'll do whatever it takes to find out the truth, even if that means infiltrating the Legendborn as one of their initiates. She recruits Nick, a self-exiled Legendborn with his own grudge against the group, and their reluctant partnership pulls them deeper into the society's secret and closer to each other. But when the Legendborn reveals themselves as the descendants of King Arthur's knights and explain what a magical war is coming, Bree has to decide how far she'll go for the truth and whether she should use her magic to take the society down or join the fight. So just by reading that, everything has definitely came back in my head. I remember I gave this a 5-star, like literally a 5-star, because I really enjoyed it. Again, it was like my first time back into reading, and it definitely had hit all the points for me. I never saw where it was a young black female heroine or protagonist, and you've added the King Arthurian tale to it, and it was something I've never read before. So I thought it was really, really good. It was this here, I would have to say it really took its time with it, the writing, because literally I remember reading and I was like 50 pages in and I was like, damn, we still ain't getting nowhere. Then when I get to 100 pages, I'm like, maybe 120. And then I was like, okay, now we're getting somewhere. We're picking things up. So with all that being said, it's more of the slow burn is happening in the beginning, but guarantee you the minute that starts happening, everything starts moving in quick speed, and they're just on this ride with Bree, with Nick, on trying to figure out what is going on within the Legendborn and how far is she willing to go to uncover this truth about her mom. Loved her best friend. I can't think of her best friend now. Oh, Alice. Her best friend Alice. The only issue is that in Alice, in book one, she's not really there because Bree is just really on this journey to find out what's going on. So it's really about her and the Legendborn and Nick. And Alice is just more of like in the background. Okay, it's all right. But if this is her best friend, why is she not like poking, trying to find out what's really going on? Because I know for me, if it was me or my best friend, they ain't stopping until they find some answers, honey. And literally, but before we even get to the middle of the book, they're going for it. Okay, they're going to be there. That was the only issue I had with that. And I'm really, yep, because I remember in my other video, I did say that I didn't like the fact that she wasn't even really prominent in the book one. Also, I love um, I love Nick, but I was having issues with how they were all of a sudden they just had to be around each other all the time. Like her, Bree and Nick. And then it was kind of like she just fell for him so quickly. And I was like, girl, what are we doing? But then I was like, oh, she is a teenager. So, okay, I can deal with that. I can, let's just go with it. Okay. Then, what else? We get to the root work. And I love that the therapist, and we get into the root work of it. And then next thing you know, I'm like, oh man, she is Tracy Dion. You're dangling this carrot now. I really need her to get into this root work. So I'm like, we got enough of the King Arthurian, the Legendborns, and all of that, but now we really got to get into the root work. So you're thinking, okay, book two, we're gonna get there, right? Look how thick this thing is, right? No, no, mm-mm. We ain't even really get to the root work until like probably right here, like towards the last act of the book. And I was like, what in the world just happened here? We didn't even get much. I'm like, the girl is black. We need something. You gonna have to give us some more now. And then, because we really wasted like half of this book going through with the order and how they're trying to, get to them and whatnot. Now, with Bloodmarked, these are for people who have read it, because it's spoilers if you haven't. So the shadows have risen, and the line is law. All Bree wanted was to uncover the truth behind her mother's death, so she infiltrated the Legendborn Order, a secret society descended from King Arthur's knights, only to discover her own ancestral power. Bree has become someone new, a medium, a blood crafter, a scion. But the ancient war between demons and the Order is rising to a deadly peak, and Nick, the Legendborn boy, Bree fell in love with, has been kidnapped. Bree wants to fight, but the regents who rule the Order won't let her. To them, she is an unknown girl with unheard of power, and as the living anchor for the spell that preserves the Legendborn cycle, she must be protected. When the regents reveal they will do whatever it takes to hide the war, Bree and her friends must go on a run to rescue Nick themselves. But enemies are everywhere. Bree's powers are unpredictable and dangerous, and she can't escape her growing attraction to Selwyn, aka Sel, the mage sworn to protect Nick until death. If Bree has any hope of saving herself and the people she loves, she must learn to control her powers from the ancestors who wielded them first without losing herself in the process. So, oh, and I forgot. The listening time is 22 hours and 19 minutes. The narrator is Jonice Abbott Pratt. For Legendborn, the listening hours is 18 hours, 54 minutes. And again, it's narrated by Jonice Abbott Pratt. So with Bloodmarked, yeah, she finds out that she is a part of the King Arthurian, or she is one of the descendants of King Arthur. And but not only that, she still has root in her. Like she still has bloodcraft in her. So she needs to understand that. And I feel like we brushed past it too fast. I don't even think like we got anywhere with it. Like we really didn't. And but then I was really happy because now Alice is in the forefront, her bestie, and just helping her, supporting her along the way as a bestie would. So I was happy with that, but it's like you get one thing done, but now the thing that you gotten done, you couldn't get done in this one. So it was it was a little bit frustrating. I just felt like it was also too slow. It took so much time. I remember sitting there reading and I was like, damn, I ain't done yet. So this one here felt more like a marathon that I had to hurry, like I just couldn't finish. And the only reason of me keeping going and reading it and not DNFing it is because once we got to her root work of her powers, I'm like, okay, we're getting there. But it still felt like we rushed. But I was trying to soak up all of the lore and trying to figure out, how is she trying to utilize both her, the being the scion, being the blood crafter, and then having that blood mark. So all of that goes into play with this, and I'm still, just trying. And then once we get to the end, I'm like, oh my God, did we really do that? But then kind of find out we have book three coming. So hopefully, with book three, we'll get somewhere. Okay, we'll get somewhere. So, with that being said, this one here, I had given it 4 stars. It was such a letdown, but because I still like the story and everything, that's why I got the 4 stars. I would have given it 3.5 stars, but I said I still love it. What can I say? It is what it is. And this one here was definitely a 5 star. Now, with that being said, let's see what the questions. I went ahead and picked this up from Legendborn series.fandom.com. I just happened to find it. There's not that many questions for these, but I do believe this was here a part of a book club. So I believe, let me see how many. So there's about 20 questions. Okay, so let's see if if we could get into this. Okay, so question one. After the passing of her mother, Bree puts up an internal wall. How does this wall both help and hinder her throughout the novel? What are some walls you put up to protect yourself? Is there a time when some of those walls have come down? Well, anytime when you lose a parent or, a family member that was very close to you, you're going to put up a wall. Like you're going to pretty much grieve and go through all of the things that you need to. So it's understandable. It's just a part of life. That's, it's your emotions, it's what you're going through. For me, have I put up walls to protect myself? Of course. Who hasn't? Okay. I do it all the time. Even like if let me see, if I don't know, I don't have like a particular one, but I do it quite often. I do. Like if I'm just really trying not to be bothered with you, I'm just not. But one of the things now, like being married and having a kid, is like you kind of can't really have the walls hold up for that long because you have a family, so you have to deal with that. So, but clearly, teenage years, being in your 20s and all of that, yeah. I mean, at that point, you just don't even care. Okay. You just going to do what you do. Okay. So, but yeah, but now it's just, I've come to that understanding of being more open in communicating and everything. So yeah, it's gonna happen. And if it does, it's okay because you're grieving. We get it. But also remember, life moves on. I mean, you know what? To be perfectly honest, I think maybe a one that does stand out is probably when my grandmother passed away when I was in college. And I mean, I didn't know what to do. All I know is that I just wanted to cry every day, and I did for the whole week. And the next day, no, it was May 19th, and her funeral was that day. And then the next day was my birthday. And then the rest of the week was finals. And I was like, yo, like, I am done. I'm done. Like, I can't even. So, one teacher, one professor was nice enough to just kind of let go of the final and just only gave me the grade for all the work that I did throughout the semester. But the other ones, I was like, I just don't even care. I don't care. I don't care what y'all do. I really didn't. I just went ahead and moved on. It was nice that that professor went ahead and recognized that I really wasn't myself. And yeah, and he was nice enough to just be like, nah, don't worry about it. Just go. And I did. And that was it. Put up, was it a wall? I technically, yeah, because I really wasn't talking to anybody. I was just crying, but that's the whole part of grieving, you just grieve. So yeah. Um, question two, how would you describe Bree's friendship with Alice? That her friendship with Alice was actually the best part. I just wish it was more in Legendborn than it was in Bloodmarked. Like we didn't really get to see and feel that friendship as much, but we understood that them two have been besties for a long time since they were little girls. And I really love the dynamic that they do have because it was more like family, to be honest, because the father the father knew Alice's parents and vice versa. So it was nothing different. It was cool that they both went to the same college, to be in the same dorm room and all that other stuff. So it was still good. I just wish it was a little bit more because it really wasn't much, but we just knew that them two have been besties for a long time. Question three. Bree learns that all Arthurian legends can be traced back to the order, as members had a hand in the stories that spread around the world and a pen in every text from Geoffrey of Monmouth to Tennyson. What does this statement suggest? What does it tell us about history, about how history is often preserved and recorded? How could this relate to your national history? Well, I mean, for us Black people, our history is just not recorded as much. White history is, you can go back and get as much as you want, any info. But for Black history, even she touched it on in the book that when she was talking to the therapist, because the therapist is the one that does the root work. She got her into it and told her that she knew her mom, and her mom was also doing root work. So we can't go back as far as we want to. Okay. We can only connect the dots through white history because of us being slaves and us to, or I should say, to us as our ancestors were slaves to their masters. That's the only way that we can actually find any type of history connection and all that other stuff with it. Kudos that they do have it in writing or have it recorded in any type of way or fashion. But for us Black people, that's the only way that we can. We can't really just go into just names for some of our families. It's just you kind of have to go through this slave master to that slave master to get to understanding who was within their home, as a slave. And then that's how we find out. Point blank, period. Question 4. As the new pages get the tour of the house, Tor gestures towards Bree while stating that the chapter is welcoming its most diverse page class. What is the social definition of the word diversity? How might Tor's comment suggest a superficial definition of the word? So diversity means having all types of representation, whether it's a person of color or the person's, unfortunately, sexual not sexual gender identity. Because to me, I feel like you should just be able to be who you want to be, but that's the world that we live in. That's the word for diversity. Now when Tor said it, I ain't like Tor. Okay, I think any black person that was reading this didn't like Tor either, because she came off prejudice, racist. The comments wasn't cool. She was trying, it's that you trying to be funny, but you're not funny. Okay. And when she was using that diversity comment, it just didn't sit well. So we knew that she was having issues. Now the main thing is that she was really having issues with Bree being a black girl, because there were others in there that were from all walks of life, but apparently she singled Bree out because of her being black, being a black girl. And I've been through it all the time. I go through it all the time, even till this day. Even, as a black woman, you have people that just don't like black women. It is what it is. I can't help you. I don't care to help you, but I can't. And I can't educate you on it because it's learned behavior. So when you find out that she learned this from her mom, it's like, okay, see, we knew where this was going. But she did touch up on this. Good kudos to Tracy Dion for doing it. She touched up on it, and you just kind of felt, you know, the nastiness in the air, for every time when Tor is around. Um, but anyway, neither here nor there. But yeah, so that's what the definition is for diversity is. But what Tor was suggesting was kind of more of a derogatory, has some negative connotations to that, and it was really directed towards Bree. Question 5. Scions pay a heavy price for their service because the binding occurred centuries ago. They have no choice but to heed the call, whether they want to or not. Do you think it's fair to be beholden to something your ancestors decided centuries before you were born? Yes, I do. Do you think it's no, it's not fair. I meant to say that. I'm thinking and saying, do you think it's not fair? No, it is not fair because that was a decision that they made. That ain't no decision I made. I ain't here for you. Mm-mm, mm-mm, mm-mm. You ain't about to sit up here and have me go through this in modern time. In modern time? Really? I'm gonna sit up here and heed the call to you in modern time? Like this is how we do it? Really? Nah. Because now you're manipulating my body. Now my body can't do what it wants. That's you're violating me. Because even when towards the end of the book we see how it gets, taken, you ain't really got no control over yourself. That's a fight within itself. So it's, what do you do in this situation? Like, and she was upset. Like Brie was upset. It happened, to a few others, but it's the whole point, I think, for us as Black people, we don't want nobody trying to control our bodies. And then as a woman, you think we want a man to sit up here and control our bodies when we already fighting for our rights and everything. So I think that's the biggest takeaway that I can say for that particular thing. Is like, no, I don't want you to make me a vessel. No, don't make me a vessel. I'm not your vessel. Now, then if you want to play devil's advocate here, let's say because it's King Arthur and he's a white person and taking over a black female's body, that might be a little bit more triggering and violating in a way, as opposed to your own ancestors using you as a vessel for doing good to fight against the bad. With that being said, I think what we did see is probably the difference between how King Arthur went ahead and used Bree as a vessel. This is a white man taking over a black female's body for him to fight and do whatever. Like, he don't care about her body. He just knows that this here is a part of my descendant, part of my family line, and I'm going to use her. But when we have our own ancestors is building us up and taking care of us. And I think that is a testament to what is more better, like our own family doing that to us, or like just being a regular descendant to someone that just don't even care about our own bodies, you know what I mean? To just kind of fulfill the call, the call of duty. You know what I mean? So no, don't take over my body because I'll be pissed off. I really would. Question 6. The Unsung Founders Memorial is UNC-Chapel Hill's way of acknowledging the history of enslavement and the slave labor that built the university. What is the history of the land you now occupy? Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. I read that in the notes as well as in the author notes, as well as in the book, and it was really touching. I thought that was actually really powerful and pretty good. Made the root work and what they were doing even more powerful and engaging to the readers. What is the history of the land you now occupy? I don't occupy no land, honey, but my family does occupy land. Literally the land. We'll keep it like that. I don't divulge in these info because everybody don't need to know. Let's just know, yes, my family on my mom's side does have land. They still have the land. And yes, it was occupied by slave masters and all of that, but we now occupy that land. So yeah. Question 7. Nick explains that for a long time, the men in the order would eliminate daughters to force the call to the next heir. What does this say about the order in patriarchy that is a male? They try to keep it male dominated. They didn't want any females in it, which is always crazy, but that's how it was back then. And then as it got, when we get into different climates, different generations, things change. So I think like eventually it would have had to change anyway. Clearly it was a testament to how Bree turned out. And I don't even, that's the thing, like, I don't even think like King Arthur really cared if it was a man or a woman. I believe he really didn't. I think he just went in and was just like, okay. He didn't even care that she was black. That was, like everything just kind of went over his head because he didn't care. The call is for him to jump in, and he just went in. And after a while, Then he started to see, and then he's like, okay, like whatever. I believe that was his mentality. Correct me if I'm wrong, because again, I haven't reread it, but in my head, I'm thinking just from that last part in Legendborn, I don't think he really cared. I don't think that he really cared. If it was a female. And on top of that, I don't even think he cared it was a black woman. But I could be wrong that it happened in Bloodmarked, but I'm not too sure. But as far as like the elimination of the daughters to go to the next heir, yeah, I mean it's just what men do. They always want to take us out of things, not realizing that they need us more than they realize. That's a whole nother story. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Question 8. Patricia takes Bree on a memory walk, a sort of time travel into the memories of the ancestors. If you had the opportunity to go on a memory walk, who would you walk with and why? What would you want to learn? Man, that's a good question. Oh, yeah. So Patricia is the therapist. I remember. Um, and I remember the walk. I, for me, I need to walk with my great grandmother because not many people know her story. And it seemed like everybody has different accounts of what happened. But I think like my great aunt knows more than everybody else. But I need to know like from the beginning because us trying to find out all of our history, that part is missing. I have no idea. Everybody, like I said, has a different account for it. But now, because we're all older and whatnot, it's like really the only one I really trust with that info is my great aunt. Yeah, because I don't know, everybody else is pretty weird. But I would take a walk with my great grandmother because I just want to know. Want to know like how do we get to here? You know. Yeah. Other than that, that's it. Yeah. Um Question 9. Patricia says everything has two histories, especially in the South. What does she mean by this? How does it relate to United States history? Everything has two histories, meaning that there's a white history and a black history. So it's whatever, technically, there's multiple histories. But in this case, if we're talking about within the book, it's two histories. It's the black history and then there's the white history of it all. um Sorry. So now with that being said, there's always the difference of the accounts, like who you kind of have to put both the white and a black history together because clearly there's always a connection because one can't exist without the other, to be honest. They can't, White men went ahead and took Africans and made them slaves, in America. But the only one that stays prominent is white history. And so they try to exclude the black history of it, but you can't because we are a part of it. We'll always be a part of it. So yeah, that's the only way I can answer that. Question 10. Consider the magic of the Legendborn versus the magic of Rootcrafters. How are they similar and different? Do you think one is better than the others? Um, so the Legendborn versus the Rootcrafters. How are they similar? How are they different? Well, first off, I reading that, I was like, oh, yeah, I have so many differences. It's not even funny. Because at least with the Rootcraft, It's more peaceful, it's more loving, it's more put together, and they're really there for the sake of trying to keep magic and the lives of their ancestors alive in ourselves. So that is the major difference between Legendborn and the Rootcrafters. Legendborns, they rough, they mean, they don't care about your life. You're there to do what you need to do and call it a day. If you die, you die. Nope. Rootcrafters are different. Our black people, we are gathering around the one that's there to protect. We are showing support. We are here to fight along with you. Legendborns, never that. They are there for themselves. They do not care about you or anybody else. They're there for themselves. That's it. Yeah. Um, Question 11. Bree walks with her ancestors and eventually houses a few within herself. How is intergenerational connection important to the story? How is intergenerational connection important in your life? Yeah, this was actually pretty good because the trauma, the generational trauma, literally happens within this story. And I see that a lot of us as Black people, we really do go through that generational trauma within our own ancestral history and our family. So it was definitely important because in this story, in order for her to get better at her root craft, she has to take in all of that trauma. And I believe that's what was trying to be done in Bloodmarked, but it didn't get that far. But to me, if she really wanted to tap in, and no, wait, I do believe she did that, took in that trauma. You have to take in all of the emotions, all of the struggles, the abuse, all of that. Take in and be able to channel it and use it for good, to fight against the evil, um, against the people that put you there, put your ancestors there to begin with. So that's was very important in the story. How is that connection important in your life? Well, yeah, I think I could see that. The generational trauma for us, especially on my mom's side, I can't really speak for like my dad's side, but for my mom's side, it's more of, yeah, you're taking in all of what my grandmother went through, my great grandmother went through, and it's kind of like um, a cycle that keeps, going on and on and on into the next person, into the next person. And it kind of affects like your emotions and your mental health, to be honest, because you don't really think that you are until you're doing it. And, you're again, we're supposed to channel all of that and use it for good, but in the real world it's kind of hard to do that because it's not magic. It's just more of, you have to be able to deal with it day to day and try to help navigate it in a better way that it's not affecting your mental health, if that makes sense. And also, like, for your own kids to kind of like that break that cycle from channeling it into your own. But it's pretty hard because of what our ancestors went through and everything. So yeah, it's very difficult. Very difficult. Question 12. Mariah says, "This is the South. There are a lot of unsettled Black folks in the ground. What does the word unsettled mean in this sentence? What do you think Mariah means by this statement?" Unsettled means that their soul hasn't been laid to rest. A lot of times, I think we take for granted that once they are in the ground, they're fine. Not really, because some of the dead has not rested because they haven't come to terms of what has happened to them, and some of them are upset, angry, or however the case may be, so their soul is still stuck. Soul needs to be released in order for them to rest. So that's what she means in both of these questions here. Question 13: discuss the chapter's chant alongside Bree's heritage and how some order members treat her. When the shadows rise, so will the light. When blood is shed, blood will call. By the king's table, for the order's might, by our eternal oaths, the line is law. The chant alongside and how. First of all, some of the members in there don't even like her. Practically a lot of them don't even like her. But for Bree's heritage, when the shadows rise, so will the light. When blood is shed, blood will call, meaning that when it's time for them, they will heed the call from their ancestors by the king's table for the order's might, by our eternal oaths, meaning that when they're at the king's table, King Arthur's table, for the order's might, by our eternal oaths, is the oaths that all of the ancestors, took to lay their, how would you say, like, they took an oath till the day they die to protect King Arthur in whatever the war that they had. I didn't think any other way, unless y'all know. If you know, put it in the comments. I don't know really too much how the chant alongside Bree's heritage. Oh, Bree's heritage, meaning the root word? The root craft? I keep saying root word. Rootcraft, maybe that's what they're talking about. And how some order members treat her. Listen, we already know half of those members in there didn't like her because she was Black. Again, but they were all different types of walks of life in there, that she was the one that just nobody didn't like because she was a Black female. Now, as far as Bree's heritage, and I'm reading this chant, but I already explained that. I don't think it had really anything in no connection with the Rootcraft, because the Rootcraft is just more of her real ancestors that really was there for her, even though we find out what really happened. But I don't know. Question 14. Analyze the quarry scenes at the beginning and end of the book. What does the cliff symbolize? Oh, yeah, the cliff where she first met Sel, and then at the end. Man, I didn't even think of that, but now when I'm thinking about it, oh, okay, could it be? Could it be? Maybe it's the fall. So the fall is you're going in, coming out, you rising above, or rising to be like rise of the phoenix, rising from the ashes. Maybe that's what they're talking about. I ain't even think about that. But yeah, the day that she met Sel that night, Sel and Tor, I remember that. So at the end is when she comes out and King Arthur is in her. So I'm thinking that it's the fall and the rise of the phoenix in that sense. You know, I could be wrong. Tell me down in the comments. What do you think? 15. Although Bree loves Nick, there is a figurative and literal spark between her and Selwyn. What might this mean for the future of their collective and individual relationships? Well, clearly, I'm gonna use both books. So clearly, yeah, there was a connection. There were sparks, and this here was a slow burn, honey. But it wasn't a slow burn with her and Nick. It's just like by the time we even get to the part of him being kidnapped, like you could just say that that was done with that relationship because she became more close to Sel, that she knew we like, you have to get Nick out, but it's the more of we're doing this together, but I'm really having feelings for you. It's that real slow burn. Um, I hope they're not doing like a poly. Is she gonna do like a polyamorous type of thing? Because to me, Nick don't look like he ain't fitting to do that type of work, honey. But Sal don't look like he minds. But Nick don't look like he ain't fitting to do that. Because even at the end of Bloodmark, it was more of nah. He really kept thinking like, nope, Bree is still my girl. I'm here for her. She's here for me. She came and rescued me, blah blah blah. Cell is doing what Cell does, is being the grumpy old darkness, you know. That's the only way I can explain it. But yeah, I really did not like the this little spark between her and Cell. To be honest, I was like, please dead this. Dead it fast because I don't want to see it. But it kept going and going, and every time it kept coming up, I was cringing. I was cringing. I don't like it. I really, 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 really don't. I don't like it at all. Mm-mm. Tell me if you like that relationship to happen. If you're shipping for them, I couldn't do. We are almost there. Okay. Question 16. The southern setting is critical to the narrative's progression. How does the setting enhance the story? Do you think this story could be as effective if transferred to another university or state? Explain. Hmm. I don't know. If it was like another HBCU college, maybe. But because when I read the author's notes of how she came up with these, with this particular school and everything, I was like, nah, like you did, you did the job, you did the research, and I believe she went to the school, so I don't see another school, because then you would have to divulge into their history, so their history would be, I mean, it can be the same, but not really. I don't think, like, you will still have to change it up, but I don't think we will have the same story as we have it now. I don't think so. So, yeah, and the state too. Yeah, I don't think so. I think there's a reason why it worked the way it did. hmm 17. Who or what is After-Bree and Before-Bree? How are they different and how are they alike? Oh yeah, that after and before Bree. I believe it means before Bree, meaning when her mother was alive, and the after Bree is after her mom had passed. I believe that that's what that was. Correct me if I'm wrong. Please tell me in the comment section, but I think that's what it means. And as far as like how are they different and how are they alike, I mean, clearly the before Brie was the more happy, the go lucky, you know, she had everything going, she's smart, blah blah blah. And then the after Brie was just like, I don't even care, get away from me. But then I could be wrong. I felt like that's what they were going with. but it's been a year, so I'm not too sure. 18, Legendborn is infused with magic, but there are also conversations about racism and whiteness, including tokenism, microaggressions, and enslavement. What does this add to the story? What topics did the novel make you think more deeply about? That is good. Yes, it did have the conversations about the racism, the tokenism, because the token black girl, the microaggressions, and enslavement. Speaking of token black girl, that was so good. It's a nonfiction. I forgot the lady's name, but she did such a good job with that. That was so good. Must read. The microaggressions and enslavement. What does this add to the story? Well, it does add to the story because you have a group of white people who are there to keep this war from happening, keep the creatures at bay, but they want to keep it within their own community. And to have a black person come up in there and kind of disrupt things, like they don't mind other diversity of as long as white people. They just don't like the fact that it's a different color coming into their community that is theirs. So it adds to the story because when you get towards the end and you find that she is the actual descendant of King Arthur, who is a white man, you're kind of thinking, what in the world just happened? Because that was my first thing. And then it's like, wait, who raped who, honey? Who, which one of them rape who? So because clearly it had to be a rape or a love story, but it was a rape. It is what it is. So you ain't. I mean, they ain't had nobody to be mad at but themselves. It's your own people who did the thing. So it is what it is. But it adds so much depth and so much creative thought to the story to kind of keep reminding you that this is like that racism, regardless if you're dealing with magic, is still there. You're still dealing with the microaggressions, you're still dealing with enslavement because it's always going to be there. You know what I mean? Like, you don't think that white people want what they want within their own community? Of course they do. They don't want some other person of color to come up in there. But like I said before, they just don't care for the diversity that's happening within their community. They just don't want any pops of color to come in and disrupt what they have. So yeah, but it really adds to it. And then when you really get to that end and it's like, oh, why am I not surprised? Okay, okay. You know. Um 19. So therapy is an important part of Bree's journey. How might stories like Legendborn be therapeutic? Well, because you will always find out that you are not alone. That's number one. You will always find that once you start opening up, you will find that it is a lot more easier to take on the problems, the issues that you have, so that way your mental state can be released into a more better place and take you on this journey of health and acceptance and awareness. Um, yeah, yeah, and the grieving because she was still grieving. Yeah, that's the only thing I can say. But I'm happy that she touched up on it a whole lot in this book. It needed to be in there and it needed to be discussed, so that way it can help other young women out there or young boys out there who do go through this, and especially for Black kids, because for years in my generation, it's always been such a taboo subject. of going to therapy. Oh, we're Black, we don't need therapy. No, you need therapy because we just went through generational trauma. You still have to go through that. You lost people. You need to talk about that. So it's always that. But we need to stop with that. And I'm happy that Tracy Dion did that in this book. Question 20. In interviews, the author says she collaborated with a Welsh language and medievalist consultant for the Welsh terms used throughout the book. Do you think the inclusion of this language enhances or distracts from the story? If you could collaborate with someone in a specialized field to write your own story, what would it be? I thought it was great. It didn't take me out of it because I felt like I was a part of Bree's journey. I felt like, I'm just listening to what you're telling me. So I'm taking everything in. It didn't matter to me of the Welsh language and the uh medieval times and what the history had towards the Legendborns. I just was eating everything up at the time. So yeah, it didn't distract me from the story. If I could collaborate with someone, I don't know. Who would I collaborate? I don't know. Let me see. Think of off the top of my head. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe Spaniards. But that's far fetched. Maybe Spaniards. I can't think of anything. I don't know. I don't know. And that was it. We have done it. We have done it. It was 20 questions, Lord. But I did it. I did it. Lord. And my phone is dying. All right. Well, with that being said, that was fun. And it was great to come back to the story to like revisit. I may just end up doing a reread. I'm not too sure yet. I probably won't though, because when I do rereads, I'm not really a reread person. Like if it stays in my head rent free, I love to just like pick it off at the drop of a hat. You know what I mean? I'm not really into rereads, but there are two books that I can reread, and that's a duology. But I won't say nothing. You'll find out. Um, and that's it, because I have never done an actual like keep like rereading other books. So, but it was good to take a trip down memory lane for this duology for right now. And I'm really hoping, because I did hear that she is having a book 3. If she is, please, please, we need more about Blackness in here. We already had enough of these Legendborn people. I need more of the Rootcraft. And that is it for this. So if you have made it this far, just let me know how you feel about these two. And to any of the discussion questions that I had, just answer them down at the bottom. And yeah, and if you like it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. This was really fun. I really did enjoy it. And I will see you in another video. This is the way. Peace.